What's up guys, it's Selka and today I'm making an in-depth analysis on Bitcoin and Ethereum, but this time I'll be talking about the smaller time frame. So I made a video a few days ago explaining why I think that Bitcoin and Ethereum will go in an uptrend for 2023, talking a little bit more about the wave theory also and all the different scenario. So today I'm doing the same thing for the smaller time frame and explaining this move, what happened in the last day and what you should be expecting using the wave theory. So I hope you guys like this video. If you do so, feel free to share it with your friends and leave a like and a comment like usual, and see you right now. Alright, so we're gonna start with the bigger time frame and then go down until we reach the 15 minutes time frame, right? So from 4 hours until 15 minutes. And a reminder, you have those different corrective patterns in the top right corner as usual. So from now on, I'll put them in the top right corner so you can look at them and follow my analysis better, understand better what I'm saying. So from now on, yeah, I'll put them in my videos. Now, starting with the 4 hour, and I can tell you right now, this move right there is a 4 hour impulse. All right, it's almost like a daily impulse. For example, this impulse right there, you see, to me it's a daily impulse or a 4 hour. Between both, now you have a move that is coming and looking similar to this one, so it can still push a little bit. It changed the structure in the bigger time frame when you see move like this. All right, so right now it kind of looked like this one. All right, but if I simply take this and look at it, this one is 15% and this one is 20. All right, so basically the move you see right there, you see it in the 4 hour chart, but when you go in the daily chart, you still see that move. All right, it has an impact. Of course, this corrective structure is not as big as this one. All right, so this one is probably a daily corrective structure. This one is in between. All right, and this one right there was supposed to be something similar to that, so in between 4 hour and daily structure. All right, now people are wondering how do you recognize if a pattern is in the 1 hour or the 4 hour? There's actually nothing that tells you in what time frame it is, because it's not only 4 hour, 1 hour. There is different time frame, even 3 hour, 2 hour. So it's something that we use this just to understand better if the move is in the bigger time frame or not. But actually, the way you recognize if it's in bigger time frame or not, it's simply by how, for example, an impulse, how high it reached and how much time it took to reach that point. All right, so for example, this is an impulse because you can see it came up pretty fast, and yeah, it simply came up pretty deep and pretty fast. All right, same thing for corrections. It's how much time it took, all right, to move from a point to another point. So for example, right there, how much time it took to correct this impulse. All right, so it took that much time. And again, this impulse, how much time it took to correct it. So this one. All right, so you understand a little bit better. It depends on how long it took. And because if you're getting an impulse like this, for example, the one we've got in the last days, this is an impulse that is coming near the 4 hour, maybe, yeah, between 4 hour and daily. I'd say 4 hour for now, but this is a 4 hour impulse, so you will be expecting a 4 hour correction, which is a correction that you will clearly see in the 4 hour chart. So this impulse, you clearly see it in the daily chart, then we can have a correction that you will clearly see it in the daily chart. All right, it's just to let you know about the time frame, because I know it's hard to understand, but when you do, you'll find it pretty easy. There is no rule about it. You simply look at it and you see if it's a smaller time frame or bigger time frame structure, and you put the time frame with it. So for example, this correction right there, you can barely see it in the daily chart, so it's not a daily correction. You almost don't see it in the 4 hour chart, so it's not a 4 hour chart as well. But when you go in the 1 hour chart, you can see it. All right, so it's a 1 hour chart correction. You get it? Now I'm not gonna take too much time explaining this. If you have any question, feel free to ask them down below, or join the Discord if you have any question. I will be answering them. But now we need to take a look at this structure, and like I said, the analysis has changed because of that impulse. All right, and most of the time we would be looking for sell, and most of the time this would have gone in the direction towards downside. All right, now there is chance that it comes up like this, and actually out of 10 times, like I said, this has maybe 2 times to go the way it went. All right, usually 8 times out of 10 this will come up, tag the top, and then come back down, simply because this was a perfect regular flat. All right, same thing for S&P and all the different thing we have. I know we should not be looking at S&P right now, since it's a Bitcoin analysis and Ethereum, but this right there was a perfect sell setup after a drop, after a correction. So this was a perfect sell setup, but now it turns out that this will probably be a correction for another push. All right, and that's the thing. Sometimes it goes that way. Sometimes it simply finds power to go up in the zone where it consolidates, and usually when you have a range after a drop, that means that the seller are there to stop the price when it goes a little bit higher, and you see another impulse down. So usually that's how it works. That's how a sell setup, it's what you take to hop in the trade, simply because you know that this has a lot of probability of coming in the direction the first impulse has come. So now unlucky, this cancels all the analysis from last week. So don't worry, I'll make a new one, and this time like all the other time, I always talk about the most probable scenario, and sometimes we are not accurate, sometimes we are, but out of 10 times I will be accurate 8 to 9 times, simply because that's how it goes, and we cannot have that 100% accuracy. Now let's focus on what's coming next, and we need to break down the structure in order to understand why the move went like this. In my opinion, it's simply because I checked something. I actually talked about it in one of my videos, but not enough. I had it in mind as a scenario, but maybe this was the scenario compared to what we've seen this as an expanding flat. So let me talk a little bit about it. At first, I was seeing this move as an expanding flat, as it was the move that has the most probability. So this being the correction was a little bit weird. I think it's weird also because the way of that C wave went. All right, but if we look in the past, we've got some C wave that went with correction. So you see that impulse, correction, impulse, correction, impulse, correction, impulse. That we've got to see a C wave just similar with impulses, correction, and that doesn't really look like the A wave, which is the first wave, like this one. All right, so when you compare both correction, the first retracement of the correction is impulse, and a really sharp impulse. The next is a move that is pretty slow. All right, so it's all good, but in both cases, the C wave was a move that has small impulse, small correction, and it's okay. Usually it's not looking like this, but sometimes it does look like this, and it's okay. Simply, this move right now, I don't think it's a C wave anymore because of how it went. And actually, let me tell you what I really do think about this move, and I talked about it in one of my analysis, but I had it in mind. But I really thought that this was not the most probable scenario. But let me go back on it. This drop, all right, had a small correction that we barely see, all right? And to me, the small correction is probably this contracting flat, all right? This hidden contracting flat made another impulse that came and broke the low. And I think that we found our bottom right there because of that contracting flat, all right? So now I know it's hard to see this simply because it's in contracting, and also because there was a range after the contracting. So all this makes it that it's hard to tell, and it was easier to say that it's an expanding, but also better looking as an expanding than this small contracting. But I actually think that this contracting was a correction in the smaller time frame, all right? And this up move is an impulse in the bigger time frame, but an impulse that came out with small correction, which is okay. All right, so we could have seen this move as a correction for another drop. All right, and this as a contracting also. So it would be something like this, and usually it goes like this. All right, you have a contracting drop, bottom right there, correction, another drop. It can do that, but now seeing how it went, I think we need to change the analysis. And this time I think that we have a contracting right there, even though it doesn't really matter for the next step, but I really think we have a small contracting, and this an impulse, and this a retracement, and this probably a correction. All right, now it's getting sharp right there, it's getting impulsive, but I really think it's a correction even with that move, because otherwise what could it really be? Is it a contracting right there? Makes no sense. This is probably the worst thing I've seen in my life, so not a contracting for sure. This piece overall is messy. All right, this piece overall is really messy. That's not the cleanest thing we've seen in the Bitcoin for age. All right, this was clean, this was clean. We often see clean structure in the Bitcoin, but this was ugly. And not gonna lie, looking for sells until we broke the top. All right, so from this point to this point, looking for sells was the right thing to do. If I see this structure again, I'll probably do it again, because I know that I will have it most of the time. Now the way it went simply just changed all the game, and from now on I think we will have a running flat. All right, so all this to say this, but I think we'll have this impulse retracement. This is a correction, pretty ugly, but we'll have another retracement and another impulse that will come and break the top. So I think this is what we'll be aiming. This is what has the most probability, but I can be wrong. And in fact, I have other scenarios in mind, and now I'll just talk about all of them. So we will have them all in mind, and we will not be surprised by a move like this. So for this one, this is the main scenario. I think this one is the most probable. After that impulse, we will see if it's meant to go down, because the move would be pretty corrective. But seeing that impulse, maybe it will not go down, so we will see. But from now, this is the most probable scenario. Now the second one is that you have this impulse. All right, so let me switch right there. So you have this impulse, this retracement, and this is not impulse. All right, so we have three impulse. It could be that if we have three impulse, that means that the next move should probably be a correction. So we'll have a correction, and then after that correction, we'll have another impulse to match that one, and after that impulse, we'll have another impulse to match this one. So simply it will be a running flat as well, but this one will be bigger. All right, so let me redo it a little bit cleaner, but this could literally be that you have an impulse, retracement, impulse, correction. The correction needs to be bigger because you have a bigger impulse, just like I said earlier, a bigger correction, an impulse, then a retracement to match this one. All right, and an impulse to match that one, and we'll complete a huge flat. All right, this has even more probability to go down, because the way it will take how long it will take to range like this just makes it like a correction. So if you get this, you get more probability of having a downside move to break the lows than if you get simply a running flat like this. Now you're probably wondering why. Simply because, let me do it. Let me draw it right there. So if you get this and you go on the daily chart, it looks like it could go and start the impulse from that point. All right, so it could really be the start of the impulse, have small correction, and just start your impulse like this. But if actually you simply go from another point, so if we go in the 4-hour chart and we add all the different correction that I talked about it, like this, a flag, then a up move, correction, up move. So if we make a running flag looking like this, then if I go in the bigger time frame, this looking more like a sideways move. This is more looking like this. This is more looking like it will drop. So that's why the more you're getting into a complex correction, the more you have chance to break down and to not start the up move. Right? So it's always possible to start an up move from a correction. You always start an up move from an invalid correction. So you always have some sort of a drop, an up move, a correction, and you always think that it's a flat, and sometimes it won't be a flat and it would have a flag and start a new trend. It always goes like this. All the moves start like this, or simply an impulse and a flag. All right, but sometimes it starts like this and you think it will go downside, but it actually is a trend reversal. And that's why you need to focus on where you are in the bigger picture and what you're looking for actually. So right there in the bigger picture, we were looking for buy. So just in general, you look for buy more than short in this scenario, simply because there is chance that this goes an upside uptrend and you want to be there. All right, so simply trading the short, trying to short at this point, it's for the smaller structure, and if you try to long, it's for the bigger structure, and you want to be trying to long as you can get in a bigger move and simply make bigger profits. So from that point, I talked about everything. I think that both scenarios are either this, all right, or correction, which I personally think that we're gonna have this, unless we have a big dump. I think that we're gonna have a correction, all right, so a bigger one. It can take, it actually could look like this. It can take some time, go up, go down, but if we do that, simply we're gonna stay in this range and we're gonna drop, all right. But I really think we're gonna have something like this, then like this, and then go up. So this can be the start of the upside, and that's why the thing that is important from now, all right, and I don't usually do that, but people will be trading this trend line, all right, and we're probably going to have some reaction in it. I think this could be the correction. We're gonna have an up move, maybe something like this. Anyway, we will be focusing on what will happen next and what will give a correction to this move, because this doesn't have a lot of probability to go like this. I can tell you right now, I don't think it will do that. It should not do that, so why be worried about it pumping without you? I think it won't. You're waiting for this, and this will be the confirmation that you're going upside, all right? Without this, it can literally go like this, bait everyone, then go back up, and even this move is a confirmation that you're going upside if you have setups in this zone, all right? If you don't, then you can still go down and retest the low. Now, it's not a scenario that I really do think it will happen, but it's a scenario that we should talk about. And is it possible that it goes down straight up from that point and break the lows? I think it is. I actually think it is. And if it is, that means that you simply, this is your correction, and I think it's possible, of course, but I don't think it's the case. That means that this is your correction, this is an impulse, and this is your next impulse to make a regular flat. Seeing how this impulse looks like, I would say that this is possible to be a correction, but I don't think so. It's a contracting, and it's less corrective than this piece. So no, actually, you should be looking for sell, then buy, and try that running flat. It's the best thing you can do, the best thing that can happen, the thing that has the most probability. So I think we've break it down for Bitcoin, and keep in mind, I really do think that this is a contracting, and I think next time I'll talk a little bit more about it, just in case we have something like this, because the way I talked about it, I think in few videos away, so it was simply, I was saying that this is a contracting, then it came down, and even though if it's a contracting, this is a corrective move that will come and break the low. So in both cases, the analysis was the same. Even with a contracting or an expanding, the analysis was the same, but I don't see this move happening if that's an expanding. I only see it happening if that's a contracting, and the reason why is an expanding completes a correction for a downside, all right? A contracting right there completes a correction right there for a downside, and when you break the low, then your correction right there is done. So you start a new move, compared to expanding, or when you break the low, you're still in the correction, you break the top, you're still in the correction, and you're looking for the down move until you break it, you're still in the correction. So that's the difference, and that's why I think it's a contracting. Now, it's my opinion. I think a few different wave traders will not see it the same way. I really think it's looking like this, but the most important part, it's what's coming next, and this move will have its correction. All right, this move will have its correction. It's useless to start jumping right now thinking it will go higher. It can go to 20k to 21k, but sometime soon, and the higher it goes, the higher you'll be stuck in a correction that you really don't want. You won't wait for that correction and hop in. That's better than being stuck in it without wanting, like waiting for another impulse when you could have just waited for that correction to be done. So anyways, we'll have time to see it, and as of right now, aim for that drop and then the up move. All right, so that's the best thing you can do. Now Ethereum, and this one is different. This one has actually a lot of scenario, a lot, as much as Bitcoin, but the scenarios are different. So we're gonna start with the 4-hour chart. Actually, I forgot for the smaller time frame for Bitcoin. We've got through the 4-hour, the 1 hour, but the smaller time frame, let's say 30 minutes, because 1 hour you won't be able to see those corrections. So those correction are 15 minutes correction, because if you go on 1 hour, you barely see them. So this one actually was a 1 hour flat. This one was a 1 hour. Actually, you understand how it works when you can see it clearly and cleaner. So right now these are 15 minutes correction, because you can clearly see it, and you've got a lot of regular flat to hop in the trade. All right, a lot of them. Even this one, this is a contracting, this is a running flat, this is a regular flat. So a lot of setup to hop in. The thing is, do you want to hop in at this point? The answer is no, because at any moment you could have tagged the top right there and went for a correction, and you would have been stuck in there. So that's why the best thing you could do is buy setups, take all this until you break the top right there. So you take all them before you break the top, and when you break the top, you don't take any of them. You keep the one that you're in, and you take some profit along the upside. All right, so you take some profit and you move your break even, so you're securing some profits and you're not risking to lose them all in a setup that is meant to go down. So basically these one were good to take, this one, but all the others are smaller trade where you take them, you take profit at the top, compared to those one where you can keep it because you know that you will break this top. All right, so smaller time frame, pretty quick, just to know what it's doing right there. So just to make sure that you've seen it, this is a clear regular flat, this is clean, 3 wave and up move. Now I think we're gonna do the same, 3 wave, drop, and then an up move. All right, if that's a regular flat. If that's a running, then you'll get to see that. All right, but as long as you have smaller correction like this, you are not going to drop. The Bitcoin is not going to drop, as we want a move sharp and a drop. All right, and we want to break those low with that sharp move. So the sharp move needs to, after the correction is completed, for example this regular flat, we need an up move that breaks the top and the sharp move that breaks this low. Super important after a correction. It means that we go down for at least a correction in the bigger time frame. All right, so right there you see we broke the top. I think we went down, but we didn't break the low and we didn't range. So that means we're still in the uptrend and we're still looking to go up and break the tops. So actually what we want, complete this flat, all right, break the top, then have a drop and a correction that will break this low and tells us that we're going to correct all the moves. So it will be happening. If that's not this one, it's the next one, but sometime really soon it will happen. So do not really ape in those impulses. It's really risky. I mean, you can if you want, but I would not do it. All right, so be careful, because now this clearly looks like a laser sword, and this will have its correction. It's a matter of time, so be really careful on this one. Now Ethereum, I'll do it pretty quick compared to Bitcoin, as they are similar. All right, just Bitcoin, you have the bigger time frame that I talked in my in-depth analysis of the bigger time frame, like this going up and breaking the top. I still think it will. All right, as long as this bottom is not broken, I'm telling you guys, this will come and break the top. But this move looks corrective. All right, this looks pretty corrective, and this could come and break the low before going up. All right, so looking at it, this could come, break the low before going up. So in terms of probability, I think this is the most probable. The next one is probably the scenario where it flags and it go up. But in both cases, you will see it. You will see the difference, because in this scenario, you have the flag, and the other one, it will straight up dump. All right. So in the smaller time frame, look at it. There is two ways of seeing this pattern. One way, I'm actually not a fan of one of those ways, is where you see this as a running flat. All right. This impulse, this is a running flat. This another impulse that came and broke the top. Now, I'll tell you why I'm not really why I don't really like this setup. It's because a running flat usually have the how long is your A move, your retracement usually is similar to how long is your C move. All right, so your retracement right there. So if this move came a little bit more towards this downside, all right, and had its reversal somewhere right there, then it could have been a clean regular flat. But when you have a regular flat that looks like this is most likely not a regular flat. All right, a running flat, sorry. So if you have a running flat that looks like this, literally this is not a running flat that looks too good. And the best way I can let you know about it is simply putting this right there, this Fibonacci, just to let you know how long is the C wave. And you see it's not even 70% of the A wave, and usually it goes in between 80, 86 and 1. So usually this C wave is similar to your A wave. If not, it's at least 90%. All right, so just to let you know about what should be looking a C wave, what a C wave should be looking. And I don't usually use that Fibonacci, but sometimes it helps. So if you are new and you you struggle to recognize which is a C wave for a running flat or not, and where it can stop, you can use that Fibonacci. It helps a lot. So basically, all this to say that I don't really see this being a running flat, because it looks, yeah, the C wave looks like it's a drop, but in smaller time frame. So if this is your A move in the bigger time frame, looks like it's a drop in like tiny bit smaller time frame. But in both cases, it's possible. All right, the rules is if it breaks the top and it doesn't break the bottom, it could be a running flat. And seeing how this is a move that is sharper and went down more than those small moves that we have in the correction, that means that it is possible to be part of this correction. All right, so if that's the case, this should come and retest the top, as you have potentially completed a regular flat like this, with the running flat being part of the B wave. All right, so if that's the case, again, this should come and break the low. Now, do I think it's the case? I think it will be the case when we will have at least a drop that will at least give a retracement to most of this move. All right, and then a flag. So if we have this and this, not enough. It's not enough for me. If we have this and this, now you're talking. Now there is chance that this actually comes and break the low. All right, but where you are confirmed that you will break the low, it's when you go under that trend line and you give a correction. So now it's confirmed this could be a trade that you take to come and break the low. All right, because of another scenario, only because of that scenario that it's less probable, and if that's a running flat. All right, so it's possible that this move right there is a running flat instead. This is an impulse, this is an impulse, and this is an impulse. So it could literally be a complex structure like you've never seen in crypto before, with all those four moves being impulses, this being the correction, impulse, 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 and you've matched all of them right there. These are all matched, and you're left with the drop. So it could be like this. Do I think it will do that? I really don't think so. We should keep it simple. So either this is a running flat and it will drop, all right, or either this will make a bigger running flat and we forget about this move. All right, so this will be a running flat and this will drop, and the correction that you'll have is this regular flat, and this will simply be a correction in within the time frame within this impulse, and it can do that. Sometimes you see this, a move that gives an impulse, a correction, an impulse, and a running flat. It can do that before a drop. It's still considered as a correction, since most of those moves are correction, and it looks like a sideways move. So I'm telling you guys, these structure, we don't really see them in crypto, and these are pretty weird, either for Bitcoin and Ethereum. Both of these scenarios are pretty they don't happen often, and it's rare that you see them. That's why you need to be careful, and just keep in mind that at this point we're looking to sell and then buy for probably a running flat in both cases. So Bitcoin and Ethereum, you're looking for this, and you don't want to be buying if you don't have both of them a correction that looks in the same time frame as this impulse. So for example, you have this impulse, this is a correction in the same time frame. You have this small impulse, this is a small correction. Impulse, now all this becomes this correction. Alright? So how can I tell you that? Impulse, small correction within the same impulse. Alright? If you have this impulse, correction. So you're looking for that. Alright? You have an impulse looking almost like the one. Let me show you that. Actually, it will help you. You have an impulse. This impulse right there, if I take it, looks like this. Alright, let me just copy the thing, it will be better. You're taking this impulse from the bottom right there. Alright, and this, when you turn it around, wait, I completely screwed it, but you understand that this impulse can be compared to this one, and you've got a correction looking like this when you got this impulse. Alright, so correction was big before you get another impulse. Now since you have an impulse that looks like this, correction will be big until you get another impulse. Alright, and if you think the correction won't happen and you start a FOMO, that's where you're gonna get hit. Now especially if we're looking for an impulse to come and retest the top, we will need this flag, and it will happen above that trend line. People are trading those trend line. It will happen. Correction, we'll get time to see it. If that's not a correction and that's a retracement, it could be a retracement above the trend line where people will be trading it. It could be a running flat for us, but a simple touchdown on the trend line for other people's method. It doesn't matter, as long as you understand that this can come back and down before going up, and that's the most important, because you don't want to be buying there and it comes down like this. Stop loss will be hit, you will panic, you will sell, and especially with all this move being potentially a correction. So I see probably all this move like this. Alright, so when you see that impulse, it's compared to this impulse in each of their time frames. So this one is a 4-hour time frame, all this move, let's say this one is a 1-hour time frame move. These impulse, you see, you get an impulse and you think it starts of a new trend, but you completely forget about what happened before that impulse, and this is what happened before. And as long as you understand and you keep in mind what happened before, you understand that there's always a scenario where it goes down. And I really do think for Ethereum we could go down, retest the low before going up. So be really careful on that. Ethereum will most likely do that. Alright, so again for Ethereum, let me break it down quickly before we get to the end of this video. Simply because looking at this impulse, correction, impulse, a running flat, another impulse looking like this before the drop, or impulse, running flat already done right there, another impulse, and this will drop. Alright, so either it drops right now, either it comes back down, come back up and drop, or third one, it's range. And if it's range, depending on how it range like this, how it gives a correction, then this can be the start of the up move. So 3 different scenarios. I wish they were in different colors, but you understand, 3 different scenarios, and we need to wait at this point which one will happen, because we have no clue. As of right now, it can be both, it can be all 3. In my opinion, we're gonna go down and retest these low, but we cannot be sure as long as we don't have a confirmation. So it's useless to say things when we have actually no clue. But seeing how it went, seeing what came before that up move, I can tell you that this looks more corrective than a move that comes and break the top. Alright, so just before I end up the video, I found something pretty interesting to let you know what a move should be looking like. All right, and just a comparison of this move right there, that could be the start of the daily move, because we had a move similar in the past. So remember that contracting that I talked about for the daily for the Bitcoin that came and broke the low. It's possible that it's a contracting, and it reminds me of this piece right there. Is it right there? No, it's right there. Yeah, this was all right. So I don't know if that's maybe if I go in the 4-hour chart, we'll see it. But I think we had a contracting in there, if I remind well. Yep, I think we do. So see right there, either all this is a contract when we were right there, and it was before the up move, the up rally that we got the similar thing where we have an impulse, a correction, another impulse to complete the contracting, break the low, then have an impulse and a correction, and it started the rally upside. All right, this contracting, breaking the low, and having an up and a correction could be similar to what we've got now. It means actually nothing, and we have the contracting. If that's the case, we broke the low, but we don't have the correction. All right, that's the thing that tells us that we're going up. And since we don't have this correction, I think it doesn't really mean nothing. But just to tell you that it's possible to have contracting and think that they are in different correction, they are part of another correction, when they could be a contracting. So again, we don't necessarily have all the same analysis in terms of wave trading when it comes to structure that looks similar or that looks like this. But I really do think it's a contracting, and that this is an impulse with small correction. I see it better than this expanding that doesn't get the other impulse. So basically it's not an expanding. So you see what I mean? And from that point, we will be waiting right there. If we get a range, if we get a correction, that means that we're going up. All right, so I hope you guys understand this video and was pretty helpful to you. I wish I could talk a little bit more about the wave theory, but it will be in the next videos. So if you have any question, feel free to reach out on Discord, ask your question in the comment down below, share the video with your friends. That's what I think about the smaller time frame, and we'll get to see it together, especially in those weekly analysis.